The story behind this is I found this book in the free pile of the Oakland Library where I work, and it's called The Complete Book of Mothercraft, a collection of expert advice by 25 leading specialists, and it's written in like 1951, so I thought it would be perfect to send to Erin as like a really bizarre and weird thing to use to write, or about her experiences as being a mother. I thought it would be fun and funny to read from it. I actually was looking, because it was published in 1951, and I assumed that our political conceptions about being a mother are very, very different 60 years ago to they are now. I assumed that I would find a lot of really funny things to read, but I actually didn't find anything really insanely offensive. But I'm going to read what they wrote a little bit about the moment the baby is born. And Fia was worried that it's gross, but it's not that gross. So. Okay. When your baby is born. While the baby is in the uterus, there is no need for him, the baby is a him throughout this whole book, to breathe. He gets his oxygen from the mother's blood supplied through the placenta. However, nature started well in advance to prepare for the moment when the baby would begin to use his own lungs for breathing. With his first cry, the baby's lungs begin to fill with air and start supplying his body tissues with the oxygen they now need. With his first breath, his body begins to adjust to his new environment. As soon as the umbilical cord is clamped and shut, the baby is wrapped in a warm, clean cotton blanket. A new baby loses body heat very fast and must be kept warm. The cord is tied with tape, and the clamp is then removed. Some doctors put a dressing over the cord stump, but others consider this unnecessary. The small piece of cord still attached to the baby's navel will dry up within a few days and drops off after 7 to 15 days. If your baby is born at home, he will not need any mark of identification. In a hospital, however, he will be tagged, perhaps with an adhesive tape or a bead necklace bearing your name. Sometimes his footprints and your fingerprints are put on the same piece of paper in the hospital record. This identification is done right after birth. I'll skip ahead. This book is 900 pages long, so any questions that Erin has about how to raise her baby,
that's 100 pages a month.
What?
100 pages a month.
Exactly. I picked this chapter because it's just funny. It's called Naughtiness is Preventable. And it's about when the baby becomes a child. We are all familiar with children who, when they are good, they are very, very good, but when they are bad, they are horrid. In fact, far too many children are naughty far too much of the time. The mother is completely exhausted at the end of the day, and the father returns from his work to a scene of bedlam. While childish naughtiness, whether it be willful disobedience, fighting, wrangling, sneakiness, or any one of a dozen other varieties, makes life a nightmare for the parents, it is equally bad for the children. Naughty children are tense, nervous, high-strung creatures. They cannot relax at bedtime, with the result that they get too little rest. Their emotional tensions interfere with proper digestion. Stomach upsets and other digestive disturbances are the aftermath. Of equal seriousness are the psychologic effects. The developing personality of a naughty child takes on a form which may readily persist throughout life. The man who, for example, bullies his business subordinates is behaving as he did in childhood when he bullied and teased his smaller playmates. Perhaps the most serious consequence of naughtiness is the fact that a naughty child is an unhappy child. The more he gets into trouble, the more often he is punished. The more aware he is then of the fact that he is losing the respect and approval he craves from others. This makes him unhappy. In revenge, he tries to get even by being even naughtier than ever. The result is a vicious cycle. And then I thought this was fun to read. It's about imagination. It's called Make Believe and Truthfulness. In human life, the ability to imagine is an invaluable asset. Without it, we would not have progressed beyond the level of animals. The wonderful accomplishments of science would not be possible without it. Yet imagination must be guided and controlled if it is to be a useful part of a child's equipment. For example, a child can be so much alone that he comes to depend too much upon the pleasure he gets from imaginary companions and is unable to adjust very well to real ones, who don't always do his bidding like the ones created by his fancy. A child whose imagination is allowed to run away with him is not very well prepared to meet a world of facts. Thus, a boy who boasts that he could make a better model plane than another child who's flying should have a chance to see how hard it is to fit together fragile bits of wood and paper. The distorted imagination, however, usually seen in older children, is not to be confused with the airy imaginings of little children, who are only gradually becoming aware of the difference between reality and invention. Because it is hard for parents to enter into the world of a little child, they sometimes deal unwisely with the fancies of children, even calling them lies, when there has been no attempt to deceive in the adult sense of that word. So yeah, there we go.
Hello, classmates.